settled in, you're ready before it all starts. That's no problem. My son just moved out into a house. My wife and I are really constantly.
That's what we're gonna be too. It's gonna be interesting.
What are we gonna do? We don't have the kids, we have the kids.
You know, cause you just get a bump or something, fly out.
I'm too old to keep bouncing down.
Yeah. For a long time now. Going up all day.
When I pulled in, I was like, oh boy, what's going on?
I didn't see anything that big.
There's something on this.
I think the 23rd is the big day. Yeah, I got to Jerry's.
Same night for Triple Fest?
What's happening to the
No,
phone?
it was the, oh, right, it was the,
Oh, okay, yeah.
it was a fixed planning, master plan for that, and then the two kids movies.
Yes, well,
I could make this stuff up too.
We have a rezoning application that you'll be dealing with at the next meeting. Yeah.
you want a different.
Oh, there's a rezoning application for the next one?
Next month, yeah.
You're right. Okay, never mind.
County GIS is the best thing. GIS. You go to the county's website, go to GIS.
But even
Okay,
on there,
it's that time.
some of the parcel numbers don't match up.
On county GIS.
Yeah, like,
No,
well,
it's off.
for today,
It's off a little
I went to their site and like that parcel number on GIS is different than what we have on here.
Shouldn't be. Sometimes we do courtesy splits.
Okay.
So sometimes we have numbers that the county doesn't have until the end of the year. But this one should be on there.
Okay,
I'll look at that.
I'll double check. Maybe I was looking wrong.
good evening and welcome everyone. It is 6:30 on Tuesday evening, the 28th of July, and I hereby call the Howell Township Planning Commission regular meeting to order. Here we have a roll call.
Williams,
Present.
Stanley,
Here.
Lolio,
Here.
Bowl,
Here.
Holman,
Here.
Alchin, Bonello.
Here.
Thank you, sir. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our first item up is approval of our agenda. Do we have any suggestions for adds, edits, changes from the group? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion for Mr. Bowl, a second.
I'll second that.
Second for Mr. Stanley. All in approval?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we have the minutes from our last meeting, which was 2 months ago.
Long time ago.
So, yeah, it's a little gray, but I reviewed it and it seemed accurate. I didn't see anything, that needed to be updated, though I can't say I remembered every item to the letter. Though I trust my fellow commissioners probably do. So any edits or corrections for the minutes from our April 28th meeting? Hearing none, we have a motion for approval.
Mr. Chair, I'll motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Thank you.
Support Bull.
Ms. Dan?
Support.
Dan, do it.
Okay, we have a motion from, excuse me, Mr. Holman, support from Mr. Bonello. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very well, motion passes. Next up is our call to the public. If you have any comments, thoughts, input for tonight's agenda or items in general, you're welcome to speak. Please keep it somewhat brief and on point, and We prefer if it's polite and non-offensive. I shouldn't have to say that, but I do.
My name is Matt Hall. Over at 2071 Tooley Road. I got a couple things I'm hoping to cover here. And you have to excuse me, I'm a horrible public speaker. But,
You're fine.
one of the things I want to talk about is the master plan. And I understand it was done a while back and maybe it's up for renewal. And some of the things on the future land use is what I kind of want to talk about. Across the street from our house, we're on Tooley Road. There's 2050 Tooley Road. I know that there's a gentleman who just recently purchased that, and I'm sure he hopes to turn it into flex industrial. And according to the future land use map, it does say it could be turned into flex industrial. And I'm not sure what the planning board or whoever did the master plan back then thought picture was going to be today. Well, today, I don't think that they anticipate what it is. And it's residential still there. I mean, the lot of land that he wants to turn into flex industrial is on 3 sides residential still. You know, and I think that I'm hoping that you all can consider changing that future land use back to something a little less intrusive, maybe low density residential or medium density residential, something along those lines. Other things that I have to talk about is accessory buildings. And I own 2 greenhouses off Tooley Road. And including those 2 greenhouses, I have a detached garage. And I have a small shed over by the greenhouses that houses my fertilizers, my pots, everything like that. And then I have another shed over by the garage where we put kind of garden tools, things like that. And as it sits right now, I'm maxed out as far as square footage, as far as what the understanding is what we're allowed to have for accessory building square footage, right? But there's a kind of a misunderstanding, I think, in the way that we're reading the ordinance. If you look at, section 14.07, it talks about the accessory buildings located on lots and parcels in all zoning districts shall be subject to the following regulations. And the one says 2 acres to under 19.9 acres. 4% of the lot area can be accessory buildings, but an accessory building should not be bigger than 3,000 square feet. And that's the way I read it. Well, I think there's also another understanding is that someone's interpreting it as that you can only have 3,000 square feet max out buildings. That doesn't seem, it's a contradiction of how it's written in the ordinance, right? 4% is there to kind of cater to a range of, you know, how much land do you have, right? I don't know if I'm really making sense, but I'm hoping that we can at least take a look at that and kind of revise the way it's written to kind of get a better look. And I would like to build some more outbuildings. And the way it sits right now, I'm not even allowed to put any low tunnel hoops over a garden row to get a jump start in the springtime. And that's ultimately what my problem is that in the early spring, in April, I have these low tunnels and they're held down by cinder blocks, right? They're constructed with metal conduit hoops and they've got a 4mm plastic covering over it. And it's literally there just to get those plants protected from the cold so I can get a jump start. Well, the way the ordinance is written, that's considered an accessory building, even though it's only going to be there for 8 weeks, right? Through April and through May. And so I'm hoping that maybe we can kind of put some kind of revisions in the ordinance for temporary, seasonal accessory buildings, right? Another example, I'm not going to put one up. I have no desire, but what about those like mosquito gazebos that you put over your patio table? You know what I mean? Like, would you really need to go get a permit to put one of those up? And would that really count as an accessory building? The way it's written, that is kind of an accessory building, right? And so I'm hoping to kind of get some kind of clarification on that. And I'm hoping that we can make an exception for agricultural buildings, right? Just temporary, not forever, maybe 120 days. You know, I mean, max. I only need it for 8 weeks, but I mean, for other people, right? Let's see, and I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other takers? Being done? Close all to the public? Yeah.
Sorry. Somebody shut down Mara Road and I didn't realize it. I ended up going all over. My name's Charles Smith. I live at 5136 Fleming Road, Fowlerville, Howell Township. Main reason for being here today, for me, is because Governor Whitmer rejected the moratorium that they tried to push through, as I'm sure you're probably all aware of. And basically, I want to make sure that there's nothing with her saying that will affect the current moratorium that we currently have. And in addition to that, the I'd like to speak with Mr. Alton afterwards. Got a couple things I want to ask him. She's asking people in the AI data center world to sign a pledge. And a pledge is nothing unless you go and look at another law which calls for, it's section 324, 21633, pledge as a valid and binding document and or lien. So there's a lot of people that think that doesn't exist out there. But if you go back into that particular one, it's Act 451 of 1994. It says that a pledge can make them responsible for it. And whether or not they know that, or whether or not you folks know that, I'd be more than happy to give you a copy of this if you'd like to see it. But I came here because it's been a while and I wanted to see all these friendly faces again. And I apologize for being late. It was not my intent. Didn't realize Mara Road was closed, and I usually go right down Mara Road and across. Didn't happen. How much time have I got? I got one more minute. I wanted you folks to see, if you weren't already aware of it, because of Governor Whitmer telling them that she wanted the Senate and the House to start passing some of the bills that are out there. There's still bills from back in 2025. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Now we're into 26, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. There's currently 39 bills out there now, folks, pertaining to data centers. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. I've gone through all of this and looked at them all, just briefly, and I just wanted to make sure that this data center is still high on my priorities of what's going on in the township and the county. There's a ton of stuff that they're trying to push through really fast. In addition to those, there's about 10 more that pertain to water usage relative to high volumes of water usage that they're trying to stop. And those particular ones, water supply, conservation, limits on water withdrawals under Part 327, natural resources and the environmental, MCL 324-001. That's just one that's laying there. So I just, again, water means everything to me and myself. my property, my water level has gone from 30 feet below the surface to 65 feet below the surface. And nobody's able to tell me how that happened. And it's very frustrating. I spoke with Mr. Jochner, and he gave me a 20-minute lecture about how Michigan used to be a swamp. I don't care. I don't care. My water level is so low, I'm sucking up clay and silt and crap. My well, if I just go from where I'm at, which is 133 feet, I have to take it down. They're saying that the next good water is at 165 feet. However, the best water is at 200 feet down. 165 feet, from 133 to 165, the cost on that, estimated cost, is $12,000. If I go from 133 down to 200, it's $24,000. If a data center comes in and starts sucking up my well water, I will come unglued. They should not be able to do that. They should never be able to have a backup well that will suck the water out of my, I don't care if it's a, I'm sorry, I had a really bad day at work today too, so that's another reason why I'm leaving. But anyhow, I just wanted you folks to know, I'm still out here. I'm still banging on doors. I'm still tapping on podiums. And I'd like to speak with Mr. Alchin at the end, if you're okay with that. All right, thank you all.
Welcome here anytime, sir. Okay. Anyone else wish to take the mic? Seeing no takers, we shall close our call to the public. And move on to our zoning board of appeals report. We did have one applicant, one item to discuss. A resident was looking for a variance on a building of a garage. Building height exceeded the zoning requirements. There really wasn't any hardship tied to the request. It was cosmetic. We wanted it to match the height of the house, so it's same building style. So he thought it was 7 feet too high, but it was the measurements were wrong. It was about 3.5 feet, 3 feet. So some alternatives were discussed and provided, though he didn't seem interested in pursuing it, and his request was denied. I feel it's mainly because, well, there was no hardship, and that if we did approve it, then we'd be setting a precedent for approving other requests for simply cosmetic changes. And that wasn't the intent of the ordinance. So it was kind of nifty having a ZBA meeting again. It's been quite a while since our last, but that was our sole topic. Meeting minutes and documents are in your packet, but if you have any questions, I'll gladly entertain them. Hearing none. Township board report, Mr. Bull.
So we've had two meetings since we met last. The first was on June 8th, I believe. Heritage Square by Michigan Homes Phase 1 and 2, the final PUD approval. So we accepted, or the phases 2 and 3 were approved. For those that may not have heard, the Land Division Act is changing. I don't believe it takes effect, well, it's less than a year now, but it's almost a year away. It's going to allow more splits than what the state currently allows now. And we're still deciding at a township level where we're going to do with that. There was pay discussions at the June 8th meeting, and all the electeds held firm and took no pay increase. The staff did get a cost of living adjustment. Does anyone have any questions on the June 8th meeting at all? So July 13th was our last one. The Howell Mason LLC and Howell Township lawsuit, which is the gas station in the wellhead protection area. There was two different cases on this, and this was the final case at the circuit court level. That was found in favor of the township. We don't know if it's over as of yet because the plaintiff retains the right to appeal. There also was a sewer rate study that was completed and presented. There were some rate changes. Most of them, I think, are on the township website if you're interested. There was also talk, Township Park Site Plan Draft Request for Proposal. I believe that's on the township website too, request for proposals, request for something. But anyway, it's for the architect. And for those that may not have heard, longtime employee Carol, and I'll mispronounce the name too, Mikashuk. Anyway, she worked in the front office and she has retired. There was an engine brake ordinance discussion. That is still being worked on. That will not come to us because that is more of a law enforcement type thing and not zoning at this point, I think. At least that's the way we're approaching it. That about does it. And does anyone have any questions on those? All right.
No, sir. Thank you. Okay, we've got our permit list and ordinance violation report. Do you have any, the permit list is the permit list.
Well, you know, I always have to speak at this part, Mr. Chair. The Haslock property thing. So this has been going on since 2024. We're in 2026. We have applicants coming before us all the time, you know, submitting site plans, and we make determinations and recommendations. The last time we talked about a site plan was in March. And now here we are again. What's happening? And I just have a question for people that come before us. How long do we allow people to, I think it's kind of not very respectful of the residents here to just allow this to keep going without some kind of time limit. And when you have to bring over a site plan, it's no secret, they've been here in front of us. And I just want to know if there's a time limit or is it just ongoing?
So Tom has been working with them. We also ran into the issue, it was on the list previously. I don't know if it still is for this one, for the billboard that they put up. The billboard, the east face did come down. They eventually agreed that we were right. But Tom continues to work with Haslock about their site.
Okay. That's it.
Thank you. I had not realized I've been 2 years.
It's actually cleaned up over there. Is that billboard in the right of way? So people keep determined?
So the billboard's been there for a long time.
It looks like it's a newer billboard. It looks like it was taken, those posts look like they're newer.
I don't know when it was, updated or replaced. There was nothing in the file that showed it had been updated or any work done to it. But there we have documents that show a billboard there a long time ago. So I don't know, if anybody's been here longer than I have. I don't know when it went up, but the file is very sparse on that billboard.
But if something's grandfathered in, it's there. If it's going to be altered or replaced, doesn't have to go back to current ordinance. They can't put it back to where it was.
So the current ordinance is even more complicated than that because billboards are only allowed to be on 59 or 96. So any billboard that exists like this one that's not on one of those roads is already non-conforming. And the ordinance is clear that there's nothing that can be done to keep the sign going, the billboard. So they're supposed to submit structural reports yearly, or I think it's every 2 years on billboards. We went through all the files for all the billboards that Tom started looking for them, and we have more than we kind of knew that we had. And there's no structural reports in any of their files. So we're going to start requesting structural reports. But if something were to happen to that sign, or even, I agree with you. When we went out there and looked at the violation, the posts on the existing portion looked fairly new. So it was updated at some point, but the way the ordinance is written now, they would not be allowed to make any more modifications to extend the life of that sign.
And they have their company sign on that.
No, their company sign is a different one. That's also a violation. But
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay, no more further questions regarding our ordinance violation report or other matters pertaining to. Next item is scheduled public hearings, which we have none for this meeting.
Mr. Chair?
Sure.
If we have the applicants for PC 2026, I think it's Grab Real Estate Holdings. Is anyone present here? I'd like to make a motion to deviate from the agenda and place that as our next item of business, if that's possible.
I certainly have no issue with that. Any opposition from our panel? So be it. We shall move on to item 12B1, PC 2026-10, Grave Real Estate Holdings, Quality Care Phase 3 project. Preliminary site plan review. My packet on this. Paul, I've looked over your report and I'm digging it out of my pile of paper now, but what can you tell us about this request?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, the applicant has submitted a site plan for Phase 3 of this quality care assisted living facility. The current proposal in front of you includes 20-bedroom addition. This is a 4-phase development. They've already built the first 2. What they're proposing is consistent with what you have seen before in terms of the overall development of the site. As you noted, our report is in your packet. Generally, we don't have any substantial issues. We did have some questions about the parking calculations. It looked like they had sufficient parking on site, but we wanted them to update those calculations so that they would be accurate. There were a few landscaping issues. No issues with the lighting. There's an existing sign on site. They do have a trash enclosure to collect their refuse. We noted that they did not include the building elevations in the packet. They have since sent those in. I believe they are in front of you at the dais. In fact, their engineer submitted a new set of plans as of yesterday that they suggest addressed all of our outstanding items. Like I said, they were minimal, so I don't see that that would be an issue if you guys want to move forward with a conditional preliminary approval. You also have an engineering report in your packet. It appears that there are some utility design issues, but nothing that would affect the layout of the site. They are continuing to work on stormwater management. I believe standards have changed since the original plan was designed. So they are working to upgrade that facility in order to accommodate the additional requirements, but I think that Scott can probably speak to that when they give their presentation. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Were we waiting on anything further from the fire department in terms of entry? Was that all cleared up on their end?
I don't know if this new setup, I believe there was a fire marshal report in your packets. But we just saw new plans last night, so I don't know if those items have been addressed. Nice to see you all again, by the way. It's been a couple of years.
Great to be back. Yeah, I see the fire marshal report here. They have their conditions, but I think those are pretty much standard conditions. I don't think that's necessarily a finding of something that doesn't meet their requirements.
move you through the process.
Yes, sir, absolutely. We're next up.
I'm next up anyhow, so I'm gonna jump in. Yes, there was a fire department review in there. There was 4 or 5 items on there. As you mentioned, they were boilerplate. They wanted me to add a hydrant around at the corner, which I've done on the revised plans, so the hydrant spacing is 500 feet along the road. So really, that's the only thing that's changed on the plans from the fire department review. Numbers on the building, yes, of course, and of course, the building will have fire suppression. That's why we're bringing the water main in, so to work through that one. There was also a review from the township engineer that was, a little vague. It said pretty much everything was in order. There's a few things to address with MHOG on the water main. I believe Paul might have indicated that there is, they want us to loop our water main. We're running down to get to our 3rd phase, but we got to bring it all the way around the property and back out to the road. That's on those revised plans. So we are moving ahead with at least working with MHOG on that portion of it. The existing water main's there, so it's just an extension of the existing sanitary sewer. The existing sewer was built in there. We're ready for it. I believe there was a comment I had the line going into the manhole. They wanted it moved over and onto the pipe instead of going into the manhole. So I moved the sewer over 5 feet. We accommodated that. And then I think that Mr. Montego's report had 4 or 5 items as well. The parking calculations, which I was rushing to get them done. I forgot to complete the table and put in the numbers, so I had blanks in there. But we exceed the parking, and we did revise that. The big thing was probably landscaping. I think there was 10 trees and
Some shrubs.
8 shrubs, something to that effect. Yep. I did add a number of trees. Along the east property line, I added a whole nother row of spruce. And then just some of the other trees around there where I had little clusters of decorative trees, I just added another tree in there. Bushes on the south side of the building, I didn't have any foundation plantings. I just added some foundation plantings there, and I threw a couple other bushes in to fill in the gaps. So I think we'll find all the plants are there, and if not, we'll add another bush or tree or whatever we need to. If I put too many on, that's my problem. You get an extra tree, but I don't think that was the case. The addition of the building is same as the previous 2 additions one addition, the original building. We're just extending down, as we did in our master plan we brought to you back in 2014, I think we started all this. 2015. We're just going around counterclockwise, but around from phase 1 to phase 2 into phase 3. This does require we're bringing a road around the back and parking in the back. So there's a little bit more site development there. One of the reviews that we have not received, I did get MHOG's review. They're the ones that asked for the water main to be looped. That was the main thing there, and we've accomplished that, or we're working on that. We have not received anything from the drain commissioner yet. I know that the drain is a concern for some of the neighbors, as well as the drain commissioner has called me too. We do know that we are not sized appropriately for phase 3 to go in there. We are working on developing a plan to expand. And in Livingston, it's kind of complicated with the stormwater basin that we have. We have a 4-bay, we have to do some pre-treatment, and then the main basin. So we've got multiple facets that need to be adjusted to make this work, but we have it sized. We know what we need to do. I was hoping to have comments from the drain commission before I finished those calcs and designed and submitted it. So I don't have anything to show you with that. But essentially, we do plan to take the easterly side of that basin where it's at, and we can just widen it like 5-10 feet onto the property, and we'll have some additional capacity that will handle our stormwater. To address some of the concerns with in the neighborhood, and there is, as we heard, some people's water table is dropping, other people's water table is going up. Water tables do fluctuate. We're not increasing the water. The rain that falls on the earth is the rain that falls on it. The design of the stormwater basin is intended to try and capture what water we can that falls on impervious surfaces, the roof, the parking lots. Capture that water and channel it to a place where it can be slowed down, retained, and released at a slower rate, rather than just letting it gully wash on through. The system that we have designed is, for purposes of the release, designed appropriately for what we need, and actually won't change until, and we were here a few years ago with the housing development, which kind of slid by the side for now, but that was a drastic change, and we knew we'd have a big redo the basin for that and have to redesign everything, including the outlet structure. But the outlet structure was sized so all 4 phases of the assisted living could be built, and at least we wouldn't have to tear out an outlet structure and rebuild the structure that's there. We just need to expand the base and adjust there's a check dam in there for the 4-bay. On that note, I'd be happy to answer any other questions. The operation will be the same as every other operation. I don't need to go through probably and tell you it's a 24-hour facility. Not a lot of ambulance calls. A lot of times when we first come in, that's the first thing is the traffic and ambulance calls, but it's an assisted living. It's not a nursing home. So we provide a great place for people to enjoy the ending years, not the ending years, but the latter years of their life with other like similar folks, and have a great place to stay. And we think, I know family does a great job with that. So any questions?
I do, Mr. Chair. So adult foster care, is that what you're calling assisted living? Is that the same terminology, or is this
Well,
something?
that's a legality term. Yes, adult foster care, you are licensed as an adult foster. Okay, adult foster care is a licensing
Okay,
thing.
gotcha. Thank you.
So the state of Michigan, it's licensed.
Okay.
They don't have to be licensed. They couldn't call themselves an adult
Okay,
foster care.
thank you.
Mr. Chair, I had a few questions. And some of them may go to Paul, may go to, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name?
Scott.
Scott.
Yeah.
So the water issue, the water main connection issue seemed to be important. You're going to be able to work through that with looping it around and putting it in, and working with the Drain Commission to, all right, and maybe this is with you, Paul, because this portion is zoned MFR, and I think the north and south properties are residential. Does the landscaping, and I tried to look at the small print that I had, but does it cover, I think it has to be, because those two border.
I believe we addressed that in our report.
Is that all addressed? I just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
I think we have a berm on the north side we did in phase 1, and during phase 2, it became more of an issue on the south side. We planted a bunch of spruces along that line and kept the vegetation. We're going to continue with that same concept, keep as much of the vegetation as we go down that fence row, and we're planting some pine trees there as well. So
thank you.
Hopefully that buffers the property to the south.
There were specific multifamily requirements, and that was part of
It met all those? Okay,
Well,
thank you.
it did not. There were some outstanding ones, but it sounds like he's added some more plans, so.
All right, you're not going to have an issue with that then either, right?
Nope.
Okay.
Shouldn't have any issues with that. Nope.
That was all I had.
Okay, very good. Any other questions for the applicant?
Yeah, just on the surface drainage, we talked about it.
Mhm.
So if it affects the adjacent properties, how would that be addressed? I know we discussed the drain commissioner is responsible, they'll approve it, whatever they approve, and then what happens outside your boundaries. And I understand that, it's not your responsibility to
Yes.
take care of.
And I understand your issue as well. I live in a very a low area where groundwater is. I watch it go up and down in my basement. I can see the water level rise in my basement when my sump pump goes out. It goes. But it is something that I really don't know. Are we a contributing factor? I'm certainly not going to say no. But
Say you're the major.
But yeah, you do have an airport that's right there that's also draining that way.
Right.
Not that they.
But the drain commissioner told me that was a contributing factor as well, so.
Right.
So I'm just concerned that the more impervious area, we need a deeper or bigger retention pond.
The retention pond is sized based upon that percentage of impervious area, and we are making it bigger to accommodate within the rules as it is. The discharge is the key, is what we let out of that basin, which is also regulated by their ordinance, and I think we are well under what is allowed as a discharge. We are discharging onto our property, but obviously that low-lying area is, the water is gonna go to the lowest point and then continue to go north to the lowest point along that ditch that runs across Warner Road. Warner?
Yeah, well, I know you can't read that town.
No, I would like to think that the drain commissioner, and I think that's more of a local petition thing. If the neighbors have issues there, they can petition to create a drain, which is what I think, and I've tried to encourage Ken that too, is get the people, if they're complaining, have them go to knock on doors, get the neighbors to sign a petition and start a county drain. Then he can come in and clean that out, and that would just make an improvement for your area as well as our area and the area between us where the swamp is that's holding right now the water that's there. So we are gonna make the detention basin bigger. Is it gonna solve your problem or change your problem? Probably not. It might make it worse, it might not. I don't know that yes, as I said, we're a contributing factor, but probably not the biggest. And it may be that groundwater is changing in that area is more of a factor than anything. We do have, the water table does fluctuate. And I think in that area, it has through the years been changing, and what's causing that, I'm not sure. But we'll do our very best to try and not keep flooding you out. We don't want to do that. We're trying not to flood anyone out.
Well, that's encouraging.
It'd be great if you told me I didn't need one, we could just run that water on through, but unfortunately, that's
That's a drain commissioner's decision, sir.
Yes, no, I agree. Anything else?
No, no further questions. Thank you. Appreciate your input. Okay. Do we want to propose a motion for a conditional approval based upon the as yet received drain commissioner's input and the other input from the fire marshal and Spicer Group for approval of their preliminary site plan for Gray Real Estate Holdings Phase 3? Anybody?
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to conditionally approve the preliminary site plan for PC 2026-10, Quality Care Phase 3, subject to approvals from the Drain Commission, any outstanding items in the fire marshal report, subject to approval of the engineering report, and any outstanding items in the planner's report. Did I miss any?
No, those are the notes I had.
Okay.
Good. We have a motion from Mr. Bold. We have a second.
Second.
Second from Dan. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate you moving us ahead. Continue on. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Doesn't mean you can leave.
Okay, moving back to item 11. We have the Livingston County Planning Summer Newsletter. Always an interesting read. And it's in your packet. It does have some good information here about the, let's see. They were talking about their master plan, I believe. The Land Division Act, and that's coming up.
Mr. Chair? Sure. Myself and Mr. Bonello, I believe, attended the Community Catalyst that's listed on the second page, the brown bag. And it was an interesting presentation. And the theory that was presented was that we need to build higher-end apartments because the current apartments that we have are being rented out by people with higher incomes, so the lower income people have no place to stay. Yeah, it defies common sense, but that's one of the theories that are being
Yeah.
presented. So, I mean, everyone can have their own opinion on that, so.
So there's been quite a bit of discussion, research done throughout the state of Michigan on housing issues, both at the local level as well as the Michigan Association of Planning, where I serve on a committee that does some of that research. And kind of the sentiment is that we need housing at all levels, right? So there is a lack of affordable housing at every level of affordability, right? So low income, moderate income, and higher income. And so the folks who have money, who can afford a nicer place, if that nicer place doesn't exist, they're going to be able to bid more on this is single family homes, they'd be able to put in a higher bid for a single family home and thereby outpricing the folks who would be in that range. I think the same would be true then for apartments. Market rate is what the market will afford. And so those landlords will will increase the price to that point where they can continue to keep their places full. And so that notion that the costs of the apartments go up to where folks who could afford a nicer apartment will rent those before somebody who could afford the kind of older stock would be able to get in. So that's the theory. It's not the first time I've heard that sentiment from people doing research on this thing. So
has that ever been, I mean, is it tested or?
I mean, that's people are doing studies using data and determining the income levels of the folks who are running these places and looking.
So they're saying people with more money will willingly spend it instead of trying to find the best deal and staying in a lot lesser. Okay.
I mean, people need a home, right? So if you can afford to rent a place or buy a place, you're going to do it.
So they'll buy a smaller home at more money. So
Outpricing the folks who would normally be in that price range.
Lower income people be able to get.
So that's the problem, right? Yeah.
Tiny home.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have tiny home subdivisions.
Well, I think one of the things that we're seeing are young people are stuck living with their parents because they can't afford a home. People are, putting multiple families into one home.
Well, they're pushing ADUs too.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously housing is a huge issue. It is a problem. How do we get there? I don't know. But that kind of leads into this third page too, the housing package legislation, all the bills that are listed there. I think they're currently in committee, and I don't think they're gonna.
Well, to anybody out there, or who will be watching this, right before, they call it lame duck, I mean, you're gonna start seeing, you're gonna see a changeover in the Senate and the House. So sometimes people think that bills are not gonna go anywhere, and then all of a sudden, you wake up and in the middle of the night, something's changed. So, this is not Republican or Democrat bills. These are a combination of both parties that have proposed these bills. I would encourage you to go ahead and take a look at them. You can go to www.legislature.michigan.gov, and you can look at the bills and see what they're doing. My issue is, I agree with Paul, there is a problem with affordable housing, but I definitely do not want the state coming in and determining what we can or cannot do at a local level. Everybody needs to respect their lane. The minute you start taking away local control, there's going to be a problem. So all I'm asking you is, if you care about this issue, please take a look at the bills, read through them. They've been identified as taking away local control. And so I just want you guys to be aware of it, because calling your legislator doesn't make, I'm going to tell you, it doesn't make a difference. So I agree there's a problem, taking it away from the people that you elect to represent in your community, your backyard, is not the way to address it. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Well put.
You said it much better than I could.
Yeah, that's what it's fragmentation.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, our next item, we have a letter from the folks over at the Ditch Witch about their fencing.
So this was submitted to the township board and we discussed it there. I suggested we bring it back to the planning commission and discuss it at this level. And we have our zoning administrator, Jonathan, and we have Paul here, maybe to give us some guidance and advice, but this is concerning, if you read the letter, the chain link fence. And the way our ordinance reads. There also was some discussion from a trustee at our last township meeting about some of our ordinances taking too long because they're too detailed, and maybe we should shorten them and start implementing things quicker instead of waiting until the entire ordinance is completed. I'm not sure I follow that belief, but maybe there's something we can do with this fence issue to accelerate or maybe make that happen. I don't know if it's as much as a simple sentence change in an ordinance, or do we need to get more in depth than that?
So just as a matter of kind of reporting out where we are, we've gotten a draft done of about the first 8 chapters of the general ordinance rewrite. Our first pieces that we'll bring to you include the outline, so the table of contents to kind of show you where everything's going, and then those initial chapters that have to do with the intent, authority, definitions, those kind of things. So that will be coming to you soon, just so you kind of know where we are with that. We're just doing a little refining, and that piece is taking a little bit longer just because it's the kind of the linchpin of the whole thing, making sure we kind of set that template up correctly. I would suggest that if you're looking to do some kind of ordinance amendments, that we incorporate that into the larger process that we're doing right now. If you wanted to move faster and do a single amendment, fine, but we would need direction from you on what that amendment looks like. So with the ordinance update, we're, as you know, doing a handful of things. One is doing organizational work to make sure that the thing is cohesive, consistent. We don't have to jump around there. Right now we tend to be able to lose things that have been tucked in from place to place over the years. So there's the organizational piece. There's the making sure we're getting rid of any inconsistencies where one piece may say something different than another piece about a similar regulation, so that there aren't any conflicting languages in the ordinance. And then making sure that we do incorporate all the unique things that you all have worked on specifically throughout the years, whether that be the most recent renewable energy work or accessory structures, those kind of things. And then lastly, making changes to either modernize the pieces that are in there to use best practices, or addressing certain comments that Jonathan's given us, saying, this hasn't been working for us, we need some clarity. The gentleman in the audience who brought up that table in section 14.07 is a good example of something that doesn't have a clear understanding, so we could make an interpretation, and oftentimes we will make an interpretation. So in the case of this particular question, Jonathan, as the zoning administrator, could make that interpretation. He could send the applicant or the property owner to the ZBA for them to make an interpretation. Either way, whether Jonathan or the ZBA make that determination or interpretation, then we'd want to codify that and make sure that we put language in the ordinance that then clearly explains what the intent was, right? So we often find things in ordinances that may have been put in there a long time ago that don't make sense anymore or never made sense. And when we go to administer them, we're like, oh, well, what did the drafter of this regulation mean? In this case, there's an asterisk there with no follow-up to the asterisk. So I think that in our discussion, we could make that asterisk say a certain thing that would make it work a certain way. So anyway, that's kind of a long explanation to say that my recommendation would be, if you all do want to make a change to this fence regulation, first of all, let us know what it is. We can either try to move forward with that quickly, or we can incorporate it into the larger changes, and that's your prerogative.
So thank you for the explanation, and I don't envy the job that you have after looking at our ordinances, right? So, but I as a board, I don't know how everyone feels. Do you feel you want to? I think Ditch Witch is a good business client for the township. Obviously, they already have a chain link fence. Basically, they just want to extend it. I think the way our ordinance reads, we're not allowed to do the chain link fence.
It would be an expansion of a nonconformity. Yeah.
Right. So we have to follow that rule. So either we try to change the rule if we think it's necessary, or
So it's not, so I understand, it will not be a grandfathered thing, correct? Or could it be?
No, it's because it's the expansion
it's
of it.
expanding
The
it.
fence is there, it gets to exist, that's the nonconformity, but
Okay.
it gets to stay. But because they want to expand it, they can't expand with the nonconformity.
Is that a decision the PC can make, or does that have to go to the?
So it wouldn't even be something that the ZBA could act on because it's not a dimensional variance. That would essentially be a use variance. So the ordinance requires that all outdoor storage areas be screened. And then it talks about what the screening materials have to be, and that's a solid unpierced wall that could either be brick or, I don't remember what the details are, wood fence. I might say cedar or something like that, but they have an existing chain link fence around their property, and their contention is that it would look awkward if they had to use a different material for that area. You all could determine that you think that's true or it's not true. I mean, if you want to make some kind of exception, we could try to create language that says, you know, if an existing nonconformity, but I don't know. I guess I'd look for your direction before I'd even try to craft language there.
So I did look at Article 28, which I believe the chain link classification just falls in that. Jonathan, is it possible to bring Article 28 up?
Yep.
I asked Jonathan if he could put this on the monitor so we would all be on the same page. Because I did have a question. Article 28, my understanding, is strictly landscaping. Is that right, Paul?
Yes.
So it deals with screening, and that's where the fence, to my knowledge, that's the only place that the chain link fence is mentioned, correct? It's in the last sentence, chain link fence can't be used, or
Right.
it's not acceptable.
Correct.
So I think if we look at the intent and scope, and it's basically all landscaping, but if we could go to,
I think it's 28.08 or 09 maybe.
Screening?
it's the last sentence in 6 there. But moving up a little bit to 4
It's 4, I see.
is a substitution.
Yeah, landscaping in place of fencing for screening,
So,
that's quite common.
so I mean, could they have a chain link fence if it was screened from? But what they have right now is not screened at all. And it does sit back from the building, but it is an industrial area. I believe it's zoned industrial, or industrial flex, I believe. Industrial flex. So it's got neighboring businesses.
So I think in the industrial flex zoning district, it says that all outdoor storage areas shall be screened, but I think you're right. This number 4 looks like it gives you, as the planning commission, the ability to substitute,
If we could move up to 2807 too. And my question with this is, does this, because it talks about that we can modify this ordinance, does it include the fences?
I think this is more specifically about the landscape plan.
Yeah. Okay. But I thought it does say anything herein, does it, somewhere? I agree that it's landscaping, but the entire ordinance is landscaping, correct? It's titled that.
Modifications to landscape requirements, the ordinances, landscaping and screening, I believe, are the section. Oh, no, I guess it's all landscaping requirements, yeah.
So my question was, if the totality of Article 28 includes the chain link fences, but that gives us, I believe, the permission to modify it, and maybe I'm reading into this, maybe I'm not reading it correctly, that's why I'm asking opinions, so.
So what are you proposing? The chain link fence with some kind of tree coverage? Like what are you asking?
Shrubs or,
Like, yeah, like arborvitae's or?
So
but then you got
The
the
famous
airport.
arborvitae's.
Then you got the airport across the street with a chain link fence.
Yeah. all the way
Absolutely, it's all the way around it.
Then
I
you got
mean,
the
so it
corrugated
seems
building with
unfair
the
to, and I don't know
around.
how we,
Fence and a chain link fence.
There you
So I think the screening regulation is more about what's behind it, not what, not the fence itself, but to obscure whatever equipment and materials that would be stored
Piles of
there.
wood chips or gravel or,
Like the Corrigan place has
So
wrecked cars
I
behind
stopped
that
over there and
fence.
talked to them about it, and security is more of an issue for them.
Certainly.
They would like the fence that you can see through because they don't want somebody coming in the yard late at night and stealing
hidden.
parts of
not being visible,
the
yeah,
equipment,
absolutely.
throwing it over the fence and hauling it away. So that was one of the things, and they thought if they had the chain link fence there still, people
But-
would.
Isn't that what the dog's for?
Yeah.
But
What about the witch?
But I'm,
Yeah, where's she right there?
the only thing is, and I would like to find a way to allow them to do this. My concern is though, it is a really nice, well-kept place. It's really nice. But would that follow, just say they decide to sell out and they sell it to somebody else? I mean, there has to be a consideration of, we're looking at somebody who has a really nice business, but if they sell their property, is that going with them, with their business, or it could be anybody else that comes in and then throws some stuff in there and it's not as nice? I just want to make sure that I'm just trying to make sure.
because
that
it
we cover
runs with the
everything.
land, right? I mean, you're absolutely right.
Correct.
But my answer to that would be, if they're not allowed to expand and they just decide to go somewhere else and sell it to that
Oh, no,
person,
I'm.
that still exists.
I'm
That
just
chain
making
link
sure
fence
we
still
talk about
exists.
everything, just
So-
making sure we talk about everything.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah. And I
Did
don't,
they say that Toro was it that is the owner of Ditch Witch? Is it?
I'm not sure.
And,
No,
and they're
Witch looks
they're the ones that are actually the finance.
So my issue is, as a girl, is that I understand, I don't like chain link fence, and then all of a sudden you got some weird, it's structure, it doesn't look right. I agree with that third paragraph of what they're saying. But if we could somehow say, hey, look, chain link fence is okay to look uniform, but you gotta throw up a little bit of trees for screening, can we get there? Can we get there? I don't know.
Well, we can
I'm
say
asking.
partial screening too, not to,
I mean, yeah,
to
partial.
wall it off.
Yeah,
So you can't, for security
Right.
purposes. And I think we should be able to allow maintenance, repair, and expansion of a well-kept fence. I mean, within reason.
An
If that's
existing
expansion. An
fence,
existing,
yeah,
exactly.
existing situation.
So if it's adjacent to a residential area, I could see where the screening is more important, but when you drive down, this is all industrial flags. And like you mentioned, the airport has chain link fence all the way around it, and it's not screened, but how do we get there? I guess where it's, and if it's coming to us, I think we can look at each case individually. If we have the flexibility to do that, like we have in other parks. And I'm just wondering if we have the flexibility to do that in this one.
No, that
And
gets
still be
tricky,
in
though.
compliance with our ordinance.
Then you approve it for one person, but not the other. I mean, you've got to be able to ensure that's
But the circumstances may
fair
be,
treatment.
sure, but the circumstances may be, maybe adjacent to a residential area or something like that on the next one, right?
Sure.
So
This
if
is already-
if you got two industrial places next to each other,
This is an extension of the existing violation. I mean, it's not violation because it was already there.
Right.
I think Jonathan mentioned that in the very beginning. It's an extension. So let's say, not picking on Haslock, but we're talking about them earlier, and they had a fence halfway. We'd have to give them the same consideration, I would think. I mean, when Justice Fence was there, it was a mess.
Yeah.
So we'd have to,
Looks a lot better.
oh, it looks really good.
it looks a lot better now.
So is there something within the current situation that we're looking at that we can use? I think that's what we're trying to get
Mhm.
at. Use within here, just
Get them
specifically
with
which that allows us to,
Well, I guess a partial screening of
that doesn't force us to
Shrubbery.
allow everyone.
would meet this.
And would it have to go down the side lot lines or just across the front of the fence? Because the side you don't see. When you're driving down Grand River
Yeah,
at 60 miles an hour and the fence that's 400 feet back off the road,
You don't
Right.
see it.
nobody's gonna be offended.
yeah, I think we were talking about screening visible, the general public visible.
Line of sight.
Yeah.
So
they
you
would
were
say
thinking,
that's the intent.
What's that?
you were thinking.
No, I just, yeah, I mean, there are existing requirements to screen parking and storage areas from the road. Between industrial uses, historically, we haven't had, if you're looking in the section 28, the requirements between land uses, there wasn't a screening requirement between industrial and industrial, but there has always been one between industrial and residential. In the industrial flex zone, when that ordinance was created 5 or 6 years ago, maybe longer now, the piece that went in there about outdoor storage said that the outdoor storage shall be screened, and it didn't talk about whether it was from industrial or residential. It just said screen the outdoor storage areas. And so then that's what precipitates, the obscuring wall and fences. I think in looking at 28.07, there is that provision, but there are guardrails on it, and there are 3 findings that you see right here in front of you that you kind of have to make, and I don't know that this one qualifies for those. But that's up to you to decide. But you did note that, I thought there was another section, Tim, that you mentioned that gave you the ability to substitute vegetation if you thought it was appropriate. So you probably have that ability. And I know this discussion went on when they were in front of you all.
Somewhat, yeah.
Somewhat, but
I think a berm was discussed then too, putting a berm in front.
For the parking.
well, they do have landscaping proposed in that area, or required landscaping in that area.
Right.
So if the parking lot was screened as required, or if that, and I don't recall because we don't have their site plan in front of us.
Parking lot, and so they refer to it as parking in the letter that they sent you, but it was referred to as additional storage area in the site plan.
For the area inside the fence?
Yes.
Yes.
For the area inside the
Alright.
fence. So Slightly different than parking requirements. Parking lots have.
Did they take the parking lot out of the
I think
front?
they took the parking out because it had to be paved and they didn't want to pave.
Right, that was
I
the
think they
issue with the
removed that,
pavement.
the parking.
So
So,
if they were willing to do some type of, I mean, the intent of the landscape, Article 8 is to basically screen and make it aesthetically pleasing, correct? Basically, or that's one of the,
I mean, so there are general standards for landscaping, roadside landscaping, a tree every 20 or 30 feet and some shrubs every, 10 per whatever. I don't know the exact details. Those aren't intended to visually screen, they're intended to soften. The outdoor storage then has different requirements because outdoor storage, while in some cases can look very nice and people keep it very clean and kempt, there are other places that do not, right? And so easier than having to do constant enforcement efforts, typically we just make them screen those outdoor storage areas so that we're not constantly knocking on their door and saying, hey, clean this up, hey, clean that up, because everybody can see it when they're driving by. So again, I don't know who made the point. This is an industrial area, so maybe you're not as concerned about what the aesthetic look of that area is from the road. And you might want to say, this is what we expect to see here. And we don't want to put people through, too many extra hoops. But I think one of the things that you all should remember as you think about this and how you want to deal with it is that what you do for one, you're going to be doing for all of them. So these rules will apply to every user, not just the clean and nice ones.
so is there stronger language we could put in 8 somewhere, or 28, that gives us more discretion besides what's already there?
If that's what you're looking for, we can work on language to give you more discretion. But again, you'll set a precedent, right?
Sure.
So that's why, like in this case, I'm sure the reason that they came up with these 3 criteria is so that you did have flexibility, but only in certain circumstances. So it wasn't just like, oh, well, these guys asked for it, these guys didn't ask for it, these guys seem nice, these guys, I don't know. That's why we usually put these kind of parameters in there so that there are decision-making criteria. So it's not just like a roll of the dice depending on who's coming in and asking.
Well, in my view, wood fences can get ugly real fast, and then you got, you could have a upright chain link fence that looks fine, and then you put in the required wood fence. There's nothing about having to maintain them, or cedar, redwood, or treated lumber. They'll go gray and start falling apart, and then you got slats falling off, and that's going to be.
Well, that's obviously a maintenance issue, and everybody is required to maintain their properties a certain way. And I'm not suggesting one way or the other. This is your ordinance. I'm just giving you some things to consider as you think about it.
Mr. Montano, say we went down this path of A, B, and C and worked through them. Just to help me understand, what would it actually mean? Like if we looked at point A to define what a less effective screen would actually be, like how do we define that as a board? Like if we're gonna come to a finding and says, we're gonna apply these points, how are we gonna actually define it and label it and critique it so it fits this scenario?
I mean, so I think you will know it when you see it. Like I think this would apply, if this did apply, you'd be able to see it. In the case of this site, it's perfectly flat. There's no topographical change. There's no existing land, woodlands or anything like that. So, if you perhaps were in a situation where it was above the road and, there were lower lying shrubs or something that effectively did the same screening without having to put in a 10-foot evergreen, that may be an example of how it would fit letter A.
I think something we need to keep in mind too is what the use is going to be inside the storage, because it's different. We're not talking about contractor storage. We're talking about, it's generally new equipment that's sitting out there or equipment that's in fairly decent shape.
Like that, right now they have
Like a
vac
car lot.
trucks.
Like a car lot, but it's an industrial, even though it's industrial flax, it was an industrial area at the time.
And they have their vacuum trucks sitting out there right now. At least that's what I've seen driving by there a couple times, just sitting in the grass, a couple big trucks.
So there's no way, okay, so I'm gonna go back to my original thought of finding a way to approve the chain link fence, so it looks uniform. But also to get around the screening thing, to just throwing some, go calling back in arborvitae's again, like
Arborvitae's.
everybody does. Because I agree, I mean, I read what, I understand, I totally understand where they're coming from. But yet I also understand we're kind of trying to figure this situation out. So allowing the chain link fence that looks uniform with what's there, but still saying, hey, look, you gotta put a screen, some type of screening, is that not acceptable? I mean, I don't, I'm asking you guys, I don't know.
Sounds fair to me.
What would make it acceptable here? Like, I totally agree, but what could we use that's in here to make it acceptable? That's-
I don't know, you guys, come on. Give me some help here, help here.
Landscaping parameters of X number of trees and X number of shrubs.
I mean, the issue is we already kind of do that. We tell people, okay, you have to have, you're coming to us, you have to have this kind of fence and you have to have this many bushes, trees, whatever. The problem is I get it. He already has a chain link fence. It's already there. So it would look odd to all of a sudden have something, you know, like doesn't even go with what he's doing. I understand that, but
Yeah,
I'm
it's
trying to find
worse.
where we still can obey with the screening part of it, but, you know.
Can we see, can you scroll down to the other section? See if we can pick anything out of that one.
The big issue is that chain link fence.
Jonathan, as a zoning administrator, what issues do you have?
Well, it's the conversation that you and I had, which
Right.
is just because you have a good partner that you're trying to appease now, you have to, the rule will be applied equally to everyone. So you know, it's kind of like, you know, signing a prenuptial agreement, you know, you got to think about the worst time, not the best time when you're creating that agreement.
Sure.
So when you're writing an ordinance, you have to think of the people that are messy, not about the people that are nice and clean.
Well, what if we phrase it about existing nonconformities? And the option to screen those rather than have to replace.
So
We're not talking about making them replace the entire fence, but he wants to expand it. And we're saying, well, you can expand it, but you can only do it if you use a different kind of fencing. Be it wooden or a hedgerow or bricks.
I think there's two things to that. Number one is the law is pretty clear on nonconformities. When you have a nonconformity, you can't expand it. And this, I mean, there's no other way to look at this other than to say you're expanding your nonconformity. I think a big issue we have is when properties get reused, and Haslock is actually a good example of that. So Haslock purchased a property that already was non-conforming in a whole bunch of ways, probably had violations looking back on old photographs, and trying to, right now we're struggling to get the owner to understand that just because they violated before doesn't mean you get to continue to violate. So it's a struggle when people move into a site that is non-conforming and then something changes. So if Ditch Witch sells, and now Justice Fence was the issue at Haslock, right? So, or they're the main issue because it was messy. If Justice Fence moves in there or a similar company moves in there and is storing all sorts of stuff that we think collectively is ugly, is messy, and I don't want to look at it, that's too bad, right? You just allowed it because you're allowing this expansion. It's not blocking the outside storage.
So what's wrong with chain link fence with a screen on it? I know our ordinance doesn't allow that, but.
Well, I think it's more about just modifying that non-conforming fence isn't allowed.
But I think Corey said they do make chain link fence that does have the weave in it. Is that what you're talking about? Or
So that's
prohibited.
Yeah, that's specifically.
That's specifically called out, saying
So
that.
if I can bring
Jonathan's
it
in
back to number 4 in this section here, if you scroll down just a little bit more, you mentioned this already, Commissioner Bowl, that substitution could be provided, and it looks like you have the ability to accept that proposed man-made installed landscaping. So if you were willing to accept that, I think they would just have to have their site plan and bring it back in to you, and you could accept that.
Would it need to come to the PC, or could it be handled through the zoning administrator?
I think this is
I
all
think-
listed as PC.
The planning commission may, in its review of the site plan, so the planning commission would have to make that approval, so.
But that says it's in place of a wall or fence. I don't think they want to get rid of the fence.
It's in place of the screening wall or fence, so they can still have their chain link fence. I mean, they could have a screening fence on the outside, like if they wanted to put a chain link fence up and then put a screen fence 2 feet away from it, they could do that. The screen fence is what the requirement is.
Okay.
It's not prohibiting them from having a chain link fence, it's prohibiting them from using the chain link fence as the screening fence.
So they could take trees.
And trees and shrubs and such,
Arborvitae.
but then we're still stuck with the expansion. I mean, if we can't expand a non-conforming fence,
Is that considered a fence? Like, does that?
No, they can't expand that.
well, they want to put new fencing in.
So the nonconformity is that they have storage behind a chain link fence that's not being screened at all right now. So they just want to continue that existing chain link fence and not provide that screening. So that's the nonconformity. They can expand that fence if you accept vegetative screening as opposed to a wall.
So they can expand a non-conforming fence if we agree that screening to the public view is done with landscaping.
The nonconformity is that they don't have screening right now. So it's not the chain link fence itself. It's that they wanted to expand the chain link fence
Didn't
that
it say
doesn't.
that chain link fences are explicitly not okay?
For screening.
That's
Chain
for
link
screening.
fences with
screening,
slats in them
okay.
are not allowed for screening, yes.
So if there was nothing out there, they could continue their fence out there as long as it wasn't covering anything?
Well, so that's why you guys bring up the airport. The airport's don't have outside storage.
So that's why it's permissible to have chain link fence.
There's airplanes over there all the damn time, Bart. Yeah, I can see them from my house.
The way you're saying that, Paul, are you saying that, and I hate to pick on people, but we did talk about Haslock earlier, and they are right across the street. Are you saying that Haslock could come in and put a chain link fence up to screen their outside storage in the rear of their property as long as they screened it with
They could put a chain
landscaping?
link fence up for security purposes. We don't have a prohibition against chain link fences in general.
But it's not
Just
doing
can't-
the work of screening. We would then ask the landscaping to do the work of screening.
Yes. And again, landscaping is great and can look more aesthetically pleasing oftentimes than a fence that's not well maintained, but I think that fences are sometimes easier to maintain or last longer than landscaping if not attended to, right? Like your arborvitaes might get decimated by deer next year, and then the applicant's gonna come back and have to fix it, yeah.
I get it.
So,
I guess you brought up the Haslock thing, that brings up a question, because they wanted to use a vinyl fence to screen their property in. And we told them no, because it would have to be either wood or, to say we're talking about.
The
using a
wording
6
in there
foot-
pretty much limits us, and that's
Yeah,
that's
but I
kind of the
mean, like,
issue
if-
we need to address too, so.
Yeah.
So I would suggest this, if it sounds like you all would be accepting of vegetative landscape screen in this area. And if the applicant, if Ditch Witch wants to do that, we can communicate that to them. They can amend their site plan, bring that back to you, and you all could approve it. I mean,
I'm sure there are
I know
questions
until
on
it's.
how many shrubs, how many trees, that kind of thing. And, the intent isn't to make a wall of trees there, so it's an invitation to thieves. They can't be seen from Grand River.
Right. So there's some language in there somewhere about security substations or something too, but I think that's more I thought I read something in there too.
That's more like for utility stuff.
For utility companies, and they talk about barbed wire on the top and things like that.
And then, I'm sorry, was that a question for me or?
No.
Okay.
No, I think Jonathan answered it. It was
Um,
for the utilities.
And so then the second piece, and it sounds like you guys want to provide some more leniency about what could be used for screening fences. And so I think if it's all right, then we would just work on that as we work on the bigger picture ordinance amendments.
Now, my question was particularly with Ditch Witch, if we're okay with them expanding their fence, because I don't recall, remember how many feet they needed?
60, I think.
60 feet.
Well,
Is that the only,
120.
is that the only piece that needs to be screened? Or does the, because they've already got,
The entire new outdoor storage area would be required to be screened.
entire new.
Existing is legal nonconformity.
So that would mean the fence down the side. Correct?
Yep.
But it would make more sense to have the fence on the front. The side is next to it is another industrial building. So
Well, and I
if
think
we ask
that's,
them to screen the fence on the east side of the property, that would make more sense as far as aesthetics goes.
Yeah, but I think we're just trying to deal with what they want, what they're proposing. We're just trying to work with what they want to do.
Right. So if they
So-
could just do the 60 feet, I mean, I think we had, do you see some leeway where we don't have to do the side fence all the way down? They've already,
I do not.
we do not. I mean, since it's bordering an industrial area.
So,
Well, then the fence has to be on the inside of the property line.
right. So I think that these are bigger ordinance questions that we should deal with. But the immediate issue is their concern right now. And so if you're willing to allow for vegetation for screening, great. If you want to retract the requirement in the ordinance that storage be screened on all sides, if they're adjacent to other industrial uses, then we can work on that. That makes
Could we
sense.
use like honeysuckle vine on the fence so they don't have to, they can go right to the property.
That's an invasive,
In the winter, the honeysuckle's gone.
that's an invasive species, so I think it's probably prohibited by ordinance, but
Is there something, some kind of vine they could do?
I don't know. I'm not in LA, but maybe they could come up with something. But again, I think that we should update the ordinance to allow for those
And you know,
variables.
we are going to have unique situations come before us. I mean, this is the way it is. And I mean, I guess I'm going back to your point. We should be slow in our decisions. It impacts our community. And so if we move too slow for some people, I don't really care. Because whatever decisions we make is going to impact everyone. So I think this is a good example of why we need to talk things out and think it through.
For something that seems so simple, it gets very
It's really not.
complicated.
No, I get it, yeah, so. But I like where we were going with this one.
So where did we land with this? Is it just the 60?
Well, I don't think you actually have a application or proposal in front of you. I think your discussion tonight can probably provide direction to the applicant, to the property owner. And if they like what they hear, then they can amend their plan, make a submittal, and you guys could discuss that perhaps at the next meeting.
Okay.
Right. Does that sound right, Jonathan? Yeah.
Okay, that was a pretty thorough discussion about a pretty small fence. Next up, our subcommittee draft meeting minutes. That was on the data center subcommittee. For a 3.5-hour meeting, this is a very short list of minutes. There's a lot. Well, there was input discussed and received in varying detail, typically great. Paul, how do we stand with the ordinance draft?
So
I do know that needs to be reviewed by our legal representatives to ensure that we pass something that's legit and can hold.
Yep. So if you recall, we did have a lengthy discussion about the draft that was in front of the subcommittee. There were a number of items that the committee agreed that would be included or re-included. So there were a handful of those items, and then there were about a half a dozen or so items that we felt needed to be vetted through legal counsel before we made a decision. They were ones that jumped out to me as things that might have potential legal scrutiny. So we did send those off to the legal team. We have gotten a response back from them as early as a couple of weeks ago. I am working through those right now. I would love to have an updated draft based on that direction and the direction from the committee to you within a very short period of time. I think perhaps that would then convene a committee meeting, or are we just going to take it back to the planning commission for the
That's
next?
what we've been trying to discuss. I don't know if you guys have the three of you have a strong opinion about it.
Do you want to see that in committee again before we bring it to the planning commission?
Have you folks had a chance to read the confidential legal opinion yet?
No, I haven't looked at it yet, no.
I think we need to,
suggest you
I mean,
discuss it in
that,
detail.
we can't discuss it, but it's there. You have to, you do
No,
have
I know.
to read it.
So the planning commission could go into a closed session, but I don't think your committee could go into a closed
Right.
session.
Right.
Yep.
So if we did bring that back, if we did bring the draft with our edits based on that direction from the attorney, we could bring that to the planning commission and you guys could do a closed session at the next meeting perhaps to keep the ball rolling, or we could try to convene the committee again before the next meeting, have a discussion, and then still bring it to the planning commission. I don't know if we need 2 meetings or not. I mean, I think this ordinance has been, to your earlier point, discussed a lot.
Yes.
And
Well, as it should be, this is an important subject for sure.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where we want to make sure we get it right. And that's, I mean, my only concern is we think we've got the perfect ordinance. And then legal reviews it and says, well, this is great, except pages 4 through 30 are invalid.
well, and legal focused on those questions that we asked them and offered to look at the entirety of the thing once we felt it was ready for them to do that, probably even before we have a public hearing, I think, so.
Yeah, there's no point discussing something before the public that we don't know we can use.
When do you feel you'll be ready to do a subcommittee meeting possibly?
I'd like to say that I'll have it done within a week. I think that's reasonable.
I would like a subcommittee meeting, I think, and then.
Okay.
and
Not opposed
if
to
we
it.
can get that in before our next
So maybe a
PC
subcommittee
meeting.
meeting in 2 weeks, and that'd be the 2 weeks before.
So the real question is, can you have a subcommittee meeting and whatever changes they request have done before the next PC meeting? Because that might be, I don't know if that's a tall order or not, because I don't know what's going to come out of it.
So.
Maybe we won't have any. I doubt it.
So we thought,
It's a good one.
But he's got a good point, so.
I mean, I think we were down to about a dozen items, so assuming we don't get a whole slew of new things that have cropped up since the last time we looked at it, and you guys are the one who are driving this train, right? So it's really up to you, I think. And my suggestion, I think, would be that everybody looks at it, comes to the meeting, and discusses it there as opposed to looking at it, making a myriad of changes, and then, so you can all discuss what, we can go through it and discuss what changes, if any, are necessary.
Right, that's a valid point, and streamline it quite a bit, so we could have a copy of that prior to our meeting to review and prepare.
That would be the best way. That would be my recommendation. And
Likewise.
And I will, like I said, do my best to get that to you guys as quickly as possible. I've had it for a week or so now.
Okay, well.
Is that, I mean, do you want another subcommittee meeting? You two are on it, so.
I'm okay with it.
I'm fine
And
with
again,
doing it.
I think it's worthwhile putting the effort to get it right. you know,
It's a legal confidential opinion, so.
Not fences.
It's a lot bigger.
Okay, well, that sounds like a plan. We can, get a copy of that, and then Jonathan will work with you to get a meeting scheduled. Set it up and do it.
Mr. Chair, just so I understand, you guys are hoping to have a draft ordinance for the next PC meeting?
I think that would be the hope, yeah.
That's ideal, yes. It's gonna kind of come down to, if there's the scope of changes from the subcommittee meeting. And ideally, there's few, none, or minor. Or maybe a couple tweaks or something simple, but, and did we want legal to review it before we review it at the PC?
I mean, personally, I would say the PC needs to see it, review it. If there's any changes, Paul can get those
Sure,
changes.
okay, yeah,
We
yeah.
can get that ordinance then for legal review. Again, hopefully it's not too long, and then schedule the public hearing when that's done.
Oh, that makes total sense. We want the PC to review the subcommittee's findings and the ordinance. I think that's. You guys need to see it.
But I think it would be a good idea to see your final version after it's been to legal with their information, correct?
Yes.
At the subcommittee level,
Yes.
and then,
You're talking about right now, this
Yes.
next step. Yes.
Right.
Yep, yep.
because we had, like you said, 6 outstanding issues or something. Okay.
Okay, very good. We've got a plan forward. Oh, next up, we have, under old business, PC 2025-13 from Mitch Harris Building Company, a request for an extension on an approved site plan. Do we have the applicant here? Okay,
Mr. Chair, there is a letter in your.
right, I'm looking at it right
Okay.
here. From, Colby Harris, who I presume is part of Mitch Harris Building Company. Yeah,
And our report referencing the section of the ordinance that gives you the ability to make extensions. There, again, are a few criteria that you can look at to make extensions, one of which says that they're still working on, I think specifically it says that they're still working on stormwater issues, which they very clearly are, as they've indicated in their letter, so.
yeah, absolutely. It's right there in the second paragraph, exploring whether the river downs retention pond may be utilized, ...
So we don't see any issues from a
No.
zoning standpoint that would prohibit us from recommending that
Yeah,
extension.
1-year extensions are allowed up to, let's say, 4. Anyway, they're asking for a 1-year extension, so. Any input from the members? Seems like a simple request for me. We have a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to extend PC 2025-13, Macheris Building, for the request for 1 year.
Thank you, sir. Motion from Mr. Stanley. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, sir?
I'll second, yep.
Support from Ms. Olio. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay. This takes us to our master plan update discussion. And this was something that I requested. And I think we need to review our future land use, as I believe portions of it were specified due to expected development that simply hasn't happened. And I think in hindsight, we made some errors that essentially, if one buys residential property that borders residential property, I don't think we should be changing that residential property to commercial or industrial, because that directly impacts those residents' property values. Now, it's one thing if you, buy a parcel that's directly behind an existing zoned commercial and they build a Kroger strip mall there, you know that's commercial and something could be built there. But when that's not zoned accordingly, you know, it's zoned AR or MFR or, MR, you should be able to expect with some confidence it's gonna stay that way. And the intent of zoning it, first it was commercial, then it went to IFZ, was for airport business support that simply hasn't happened. La Casa is really the only thing that was put there other than the 911 center, and that was more of a county action than planning commission approval. So I think that qualifies under the first bullet point here, that there are problems or deficiencies with the existing master plan that have become apparent. Because I don't think we should be devaluing people's personal property. I mean, part of our, I think our main focus here is to represent our residents. Conditions in the township changed since the master plan was adopted. I don't necessarily think that applies, other than the development trends that were expected didn't occur. And another area I noticed was the data center overlay comes awfully close to Jonathan's Landing. And it's not a very large area, so it'd be a minor data center, but I didn't feel it's right to put it anywhere near a residential area either. I'd have to look at the map again to see the distance. It could be far enough away, but I just feel those people are paid enough with the industrial properties that surround their neighborhoods.
So what does that look like if we, so how do you actually do that? Like, do you take a look at what's there and then we just all get together and we start working through it? Do you do like a subcommittee how does that work? How has that worked in the past?
So as I noted in the memo that I gave you guys, just for some consideration, the Planning Enabling Act requires you to look at your plan at least every 5 years. You don't have to do anything. You may look at the plan and say it's consistent with what we believe our vision is for the future, what our community values are, et cetera. If you do elect to work on a master plan, and this would be prior to that 5 years, but there's nothing that says that you have to wait for the 5 years to do it. There are steps that you have to take, and so there are just some procedural things that are outlined in that Planning Enabling Act, like sending out a notice of intent to plan. You are required to have public input. The minimum public input is a public hearing at the end of a 63-day review period or a 42-day review period if you're just doing a plan update. You, as the planning commission, are charged with doing that work to update the plan, and we can attack that in a variety of different ways. Usually we're going to do some updated demographic data just to provide you some background information. Often we will create some kind of exercises to go through either the land use plan or other aspects of the plan that you might find necessary to change. I would always recommend that we do some kind of more robust public input process other than just having a public hearing at the end of the process, because this is a community-based plan. It is your most important policy document that the township has. It is the guiding document for developers, for existing landowners, for potential landowners. So if I'm a resident or a homeowner looking to buy or build a home, that's where I'm going to look to see, to your point, is there the potential that, my neighboring property could be commercial in the future, right? So this is your kind of roadmap for the future. This is maybe not what's going to be done today or tomorrow, but what we, it's a plan for today, but it should look, 20, 30 years down the road, right? So we try to create space for all the things that you think you might need as a community, whether that could be more housing. And I know during the last master plan discussion, we were already talking about this housing issue. And so that's where some of the residential up planning was done around that airport area. I think as you mentioned, the area around the airport had always been planned for some kind of, I think we were calling it airport commercial in the past before we changed the name to the flex zone, or kind of put that all into the flex zone. So there was always some amount of, heavier uses planned around the airport. And then there was additional density planned for residential in that same kind of band around the airport. So that's kind of where all that came from, I think. But certainly those are the things that you want to explore, right? Do we have the right stock now? Do we have the right stock of land for the different uses that you expect to have in the future? And so we can run through different exercises like that amongst yourselves, but then I would also encourage you to create some kind of program where we would ask interested folks, stakeholders, residents to come in and explore those opportunities with us.
See, that's the one thing that I do appreciate about the data center, is that it has encouraged our residents to be more engaged. So if we were to revisit this, then I think the residents would feel more at ease to know that they had their say in it, rather than saying, I didn't know this was. So, I mean, when I looked at it, I could circle about 4 of those bullet points that I thought would justify us taking a look at it. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, for a minute there, I thought you said you appreciated data centers, really.
2:30 in the morning is still scarred, still scarred by that.
Well, in my experience, if there is no controversy, nobody shows up for any of those public input meetings for a master plan or otherwise. But if there is controversy, whether it's a data center or a Walmart or whatever the flavor of the day might be or have been, you get a lot of input. So to your point, it may be a good time to talk to folks because people are interested.
And we need an opportunity for them to provide their input, either via
100%.
email, a website survey, something. We've done those before, asked for surveys, and a lot of people complained about traffic conditions outside of the township, which was curious, but anyway.
Okay, well, that's my thought on a thumbs up.
Is anybody in a disagreement that we don't need to look at it?
No.
I'm in agreement to look at it, like Sharon.
We'll go over a review
I think we need to decide to what level, though. Would that be correct?
Yeah, I mean, so I will also say that we do have a lot going on right now.
Yes, we do.
Is it one of the things to tackle the ordinances first, then that, or just kind of intertwine them, or?
Well, I'd love to get the data center ordinance finished as the most immediate thing that we need to get.
Yeah, that's a priority because of expiring moratorium, right? I almost hate to suggest it, but would a subcommittee be applicable to review the master plan and bring suggestions to the PC meeting? How to streamline that and not take up a lot of time?
So, often we will create a steering committee for a master plan process that could be both members of the planning commission as well as some other identified stakeholders in the community. So that could be a good way to at least start the ball rolling.
Can the RRC be part of that? I mean, because we wanted to help with more broader things other than just the data center.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that if it's okay to answer questions.
No, of course, sir. By all means.
They're not a one-trick pony.
Yeah, I mean, I think a steering committee is usually going to be limited to a certain number of people. So maybe a representative or 2 from the RRC would want to be nominated to be part of that. So.
Right, we're not going to rent the auditorium.
Yeah, I mean, usually with your steering committee, you want to have a cross section of folks, like some residents, some business owners, members of the planning commission, maybe somebody from an agency that you think is appropriate to be involved. So we can talk about what that looks like too, if you do decide to go the steering committee route.
I'm not opposed to it. I think it would help move it along faster than waiting until the data center and ordinance reviews are done. I mean, that could be 6 months for the ordinance reviews. I'm guessing, I don't know how far, I've heard you got the table of contents and definitions, which is a good starting point. You have to start there.
Well, we've got
But, you know.
eight chapters drafted, so we're a little farther along, but it probably will likely, by the time we're finished vetting these things through you all and going through the approval process,
Well,
6
if I
months
can ask,
probably.
8 of how many?
I think our
If it's 8 out of
template
20,
has-
that's great. If it's 8 out of 200, well.
Oh, no, it's less than 20. That's part of our goals, is to cut this thing down in chapters, so I think we
Okay.
would have a total of 14.
That's fantastic. I didn't know what the scope of that was, cause.
Gotcha.
Would it be appropriate or doable for somebody from the county to be on the steering committee?
I think so.
Because it seems like they got to have their own master plan for us. They worked with us. My personal opinion is they should take our master plan and plug it into the county master plan, but they don't. So it's like, so if we could work with them.
No, that's a great idea. I think involving the county would certainly be beneficial. Hopefully, in our favor.
Paul, would you be able to get us a proposal we can take to the township board?
I'll likely want to work with you on the scope of that, but yes.
Okay. That's our last agenda item, other than our final call to the public. Public, I call to thee.
I despise talking in front of people. So in regards to the master plan,
Yes.
and I agree with you guys, I'm on Burkhart. That's going.
I'm sorry, state your name and address,
Oh,
please.
Linda Lamalier.
Thank
I
you.
live on at 3494 North Burkhart. With the change to this, now you're saying I could have light industrial next to me. I bought 23 years ago with a farm around me. I knew there was a possibility of housing, which I think across the street, you guys, Howell Township owns one that was supposed to go in that never happened. There's also one down Burkhart on the west side too that is owned by a company that appears to be maybe in a housing development. But to put light industrial, we're all like bigger parcels. I mean, I only live on 2 acres, but all around me are bigger parcels. I think that'd be kind of sad. When I moved there, it was residential. What's that? 3494 North Burkhart. As for the care center, if there's problems with surrounding properties due to them adding on, I think they should correct it. And data center, that one data center would be 2 miles from my house, and I don't want that either. And I think it's good that we're all working together and talking. I'd love to be on the planning commission committee, steering committee, whatever. But I'm glad to see that everybody's working together for the betterment of the people in the community. So keep doing that, because we do.
We are all residents, you know.
I know. And I think it's great, and I'm glad, and I appreciate everybody here and the work that you're doing, because I know it's time out of your life. And I don't want to stand up here and complain. I just want to voice my opinion.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, boy.
Couple things. Where I live is on Fleming Road. I work in Heartland. Every day I go down Fleming to Mar, to Burkhart, to Grand River, and I go right past the cleanup job that you guys had them do at Justice Fence. It's wonderful. Wanted to thank you for that. It looks great going through there. Opposite side of the road. Okay, how big's a standard piece of cat equipment or Volvo equipment, whatever Ditch Witch has got out there? Is it as tall as this ceiling? Reason why I ask that question is, what is the purpose of the screen? How high up does it have to be? If their equipment is twice the size of the screen, it only makes sense to do what? Have them plant trees. It's not like they don't have the equipment. They got all the equipment. You plant the trees in there. I don't want to see little stuff like this because I'm still going to see 20 feet tall equipment over there. Have them put trees in. Trees grow. Tree dies, plant another one. So, like Sue said, the only thing I would say against the emeralds is mine look like a bunch of probably 15-foot tall mushrooms, because the deer have eaten them all the way up to about 8 feet tall. So I got these great big emeralds out there that my neighbor goes, he goes, every time I look over there at night, the deer are out there eating, I think, man, that was the worst investment he could have made. So you want to put something out there that's going to grow and get taller. You know, for that kind of money, you can get trees that start out 20 feet tall. You know, yeah, they cost more. No, I got a degree in natural resources. You can also get, and I've planted over 150 trees on my property as well. So I plant a lot of stuff. I don't want to do theirs, but they got all the equipment to do it because I do mine with a shovel. Okay, they should be able to put trees out there easily, and they should get flowering trees so they look great. And if you want to have something where, okay, the conifers, the Michigan conifers are native trees. They're the big, soft, fuzzy stuff. I've planted a few of those on my property as well. Norway pines grow the fastest. They'll be bigger. They look nice. They'll cover it up fast. But that's my statement on that. The other thing that I would like to say is that I have, I've been in contact and communication with the members of the, it's the State Energy and Environmental Committee. And I'm letting you guys know, that's one of the reasons why I brought up the fact that you've got 30-some data center bills out there between the House and the Senate. There's 3 that I'm working on heavy duty with the Senate. And my next stop is to sit in each one of their offices. There's 4 people. 3 of them sponsored the bills regarding the water, regarding the data centers, regarding the power. And I'm hitting all of those guys. I've got the backing of the Sierra Club, and they've written stuff. I'm a member. They've written stuff for me. I even have stuff from the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation because we have a chapter here in Michigan that's, so anyhow, I guess I'm just, there's no reason to go really fast on these data centers because there is a ton of bills out there, both Senate, and you've got Governor Whitmer saying, pass it, codify everything, because she knows, even though she's asking these guys to pledge, okay, what they're going to do with their water, what they're going to do with their energy, what are they going to pay for, what are we going to pay for? That's all a bunch of crap until it's written into law. And I'm definitely, you know, you folks, thank you so much. I'm going to say that again. Thank you so much, okay? Because until that data center got stuck in my front yard, I'd never done this. And now I tried to make it a habit. I was over on the west side of the state this past week with my sister who just bought a new home, and she bought the house. And then they find out it's in Door Township where they want to put in a data center just down the road from her. And she was so, I said, I told you all the time, you know, look before you leap, and you jumped right into that. And now you got those guys want to put in a data center. So I've been asked to go over there and rattle their chains a little bit too. So anyhow, again, thank you all. When that first started, I was just the most ornery SOB I think ever stepped in front of the microphone around here because it had been done so fast. You don't think so?
Oh.
That's been worse than me? Oh my God. But anyhow, so thank you. It's just gotten me involved. I have written letters to many of the people in the Trump administration, including Lee Zeldin, who's his EPA. Let's just say he and I are having some fun right now. And I've got a lot of letters going into his office. Again, I am now a member of Ducks Unlimited, Trout Unlimited. I'm a member of Pheasants Forever. I'm a member of the National Audubon Society. I am a member of so many things now that I've invested in for my time, my efforts with those folks, and they are working back with me and giving me information that I will be providing to you folks as it comes in. So I just wanted you to know, don't rush this stuff. So much is going to change really fast. And, you know, legal and everything else. There's going to be a lot of laws that change. It's going to be a lot. I know how I'm ready to as soon as I'm done with it. Thank you.
As always, thank you, Chuck.
I am Matt Hall at 2071 Tooley Road. You know, is there any way, Jonathan, we could pull up something on the monitor? Is that allowed?
It's up to them.
What I'm asking is that if we can pull up the graph on 14.07 and just kind of get a collective. And then where I'm going with this is because I know it's open for interpretation, but when I think about it and like the forefathers or those who wrote this back in the 70s or 80s, whenever it was written, what were their intentions? And that's kind of why I want to pull it up on the board and want you to see the.
This is the auxiliary building.
The what's that now?
For the auxiliary building.
Accessory buildings, yeah.
Accessory building.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the one that says, you know, 2 acres and 19.9, and you're allowed 4% of lot coverage with no building, or the way I'm reading it, no building 3,000 square feet or more. And the way I'm thinking it is that back then when this was written, anybody who had 19 acres, they were farming. So maybe they had a pole barn that was 3,000 square feet big for their tractors, their implements, their trucks. But then where's their animals gonna go? Or where's their storage of their straw gonna go?
Sure.
And so they rolled this in there with that intention, and that's my honest belief. It's not me trying to squeeze something out, although I do want to see that end result, but this is what I'm thinking they meant. There were intentions there. You know, how can you just have 3,000 square feet for someone that has 2 acres, but then when it comes to 19.9 acres, still only have 3,000 square feet? There's the 4% was written in there for a reason. And that's what I think. It got lost somewhere. And I don't think.
I would interpret that as total of 4% of the property size with no single building to exceed 3,000 square feet.
That's exactly right. And that's what I'm after.
But Paul is reviewing the ordinances, so we'll have those updated here fairly soon. And we'll be discussing them, and if we find
Can I
things
ask you a
added.
question? Is a structure considered like a temporary structure, like a greenhouse that doesn't have a foundation, or does it have to have a foundation to be considered a structure?
Right. This is how ordinances turn into really long things.
But if it's
But we
just a
can reference
temporary-
other ordinances in there too, you know, but yeah, that's a good question.
Cause was always my understanding to be a permanent structure, it had to have a foundation. And if it doesn't,
It's just based on the definition
it'd be
and
like
the
putting up a
ordinance.
tent.
And I think temporary structures are included in that definition. Is that correct, Jonathan? Yeah. So I don't know about the low hoops over your pepper plants, but definitely a larger greenhouse hoop house would be
A permanent structure.
considered a structure.
I would be on the same board with that as well. The larger the greenhouse, you don't want it just blowing away, right? And you've got more to lose with a bigger greenhouse, you know.
What you just said, because I was doing building.
You're going to want to get a zoning compliance approval from the zoning administrator.
Costco has
foot by 12-foot greenhouse.
Let's talk about this after, because he's got the floor right now and we're doing public comment, which isn't really supposed to be a back and forth here. Sorry, sorry.
That's all I ask.
Bring that ordinance up to the.
It's just public comment right now.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll be reviewing it when Paul has a new version, so. Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, just doing everything that was
Okay. With that said, and no further takers, our next item is a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a motion? Anybody? Motion. Sorry, who did that? Was that Matt? Oh, Corey.
Support.
Those are easy ones.
Motion carries, support from Mr. Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Again, thank